Hello, my name is Cyril, and normally I'd be asking my buddy Lorne Riseley a bunch of video game related questions. But that's not gonna happen this week, because we have something else planned. Now that we've managed to bang out 8 of these quizzes, I thought it might be fun to sit down with Lorne and see what he thought of the season so far. I wanted to get his thoughts on his performance and respond to some of the comments left on the videos. The result is a 35-minute long conversation with the man, and I think it's really interesting. We definitely learn a lot. But before we get to that, I first wanted to give you some updates and talk about the future of quizzes at Defunct Games. You see, this is something I've been trying to do for a long time now, and I'm sure there are people watching this right now that remember the starts and stops of the past attempts. There are 2 big obstacles that have prevented these ambitious ideas: scheduling and production. The nice thing about this series is that I was able to record 9 episodes in a single sitting, which is probably why Lorne and I always sound the same. The other problem is that some of the previous shows took forever to edit. I found that it would take me several days to put together an episode of Trivia Gate, which was time I was not working on reviews and other features, the stuff that brings views in. I've always tried to find that balance where I could quickly produce a video while not making it look cheap or bad. So let me float an idea past you. Live trivia streams. Maybe not for every quiz, but I think it might be fun to go for an hour or 2 and have people call in and compete. Basically, treat it like a live stream, only with fast-paced trivia. Is this something you might be into? I say hesitantly. I mean, I'm not looking to do this tomorrow, but it's something I'd like to work towards. I'm just concerned that nobody would tune in or want to take on a challenger. I also don't know how I would do all of this, though I have some ideas. Maybe a Discord server? I don't know. That's something that I'll have to investigate. But what I want to know from you is whether or not you would tune into this kind of trivia stream. Let me know in the comments below. But even if you hate that idea, don't worry, don't think that we're just going to switch formats overnight. Because we're going to be back next week with a wrestling-related quiz just in time for WrestleMania 2019. Ooh, it's a good one. Now, here's a conversation I had with Lorne about the first 8 quizzes, viewer comments, the Street Fighter movie, and more. And if you stick around until the end, you'll get a hint at what's coming next to the Defunct Games quiz. Alright, let's throw it to me talking to Lorne. So, You've watched the 7 episodes that I put out with the quiz, right? This is the first time I think we've talked since any of those have gone up.
Correct, Amundo. Yes, and because I know that they're out every Friday, and I keep an eye out for them so that I can watch the first 30 seconds, cringe, turn it off, and then watch the rest of it sort of belatedly afterwards because I know I'm going to be on it.
Do you really cringe?
You know this as much as I do. It's hard to listen to yourself.
It is.
It's hard at the best of times. So whenever I know I'm on something, I don't watch any of my videos back. It's rare that I do it. So yeah, because I want to watch the video, I want to see how it turned out, but at the same time, it'd be great if I could just mute all the bits I'm in. That would be great. But I can't do that.
You're in so much of it.
Exactly. So I have to persevere, and I'm always grateful I always persevere because it always turns out great.
But do you find it at least a little fun? Because what I don't think anybody knows is that when we recorded those, we didn't have any intros or anything.
We did it all on the fly, and we improvised as much as possible,
and so, like, do you get some pleasure out of watching those and seeing how I'm going to incorporate you for each episode?
Of course, yeah, because I know from the very first one, because I wasn't sure how you were going to put it all together in the end. Yeah. I thought it was a cool idea, fun to do, simple, easy, all the rest of that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But then, how is it actually going to play out as a video? I had no idea. And then from the get-go, when I saw how much you were going to try and make it a thematic thing each episode, and how the quiz is going to be the focal point, it transcended anything I thought it was. It's a lot better than I gave it any credit to be. Put it that way.
Well, I'm glad your expectations were really low.
Anything I'm involved in, I just put nice and right. Okay, cool. Right down there on the expectation meter. Right down there, right at the bottom.
I think even before I put out the first episode, we had talked about, I was like, well, I don't know how long these are going to be. Maybe I'll put like 2 or 3 of them in a single episode.
Yeah.
And then I decided to do them individually because they were like 7 or 8 minutes long.
They turned out really, really entertaining, to the point where I'm really proud of them. I'm really proud of how they've come out. Even though all I do is just kind of go, yep, or nope, or I don't know. So the fact that I get to take pride in something...
funny bits in there.
I do my best, but
we had a lot of fun.
There's one captain of this ship, my friend, and it sure as hell ain't me wearing the hat.
No. I had a lot of fun because I didn't edit them all at once. I kind of wanted to see what the reception was and then kind of change it over time. And you see some things added and you know, the template changes a little bit as we go along. But I was really curious. I had so much fun listening back to our conversations and what you were saying throughout, especially in those episodes where you really didn't know that much. That's fair to say, right?
It's 100% fair to say. Yeah, my expertise level was shown to be lacking, and as we've discussed, I'm working on that right now. I'm working on trying to expand my horizons.
Yes, you mentioned something about that. What do you picked up or you have access to a Super NES Classic Edition? Is this your first time? Is this your first time playing the Super Nintendo?
If it isn't, I was so young I don't remember. So yeah, 100%. It's nice getting a hold of something that's that generation, because it means that I can hopefully start to connect with the kinds of games that you talk about the most because they're the most iconic.
Sure.
And it's just I've just missed them. So it's nice to have the opportunity to go back and just rock them how they were meant to be rocked. You know, no emulators, no nothing, proper controller, proper screen, proper game. You know. Yeah.
And what have you played on it so far? I think you only just got it a couple of days ago. But what have you played on it so far?
So Street Fighter 2 Turbo, or is it Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo?
No, Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Because it's a fighting game, and I've got pedigree with fighting games, and I know the genre, and I've played Street Fighter games before. Enjoying it, fun, frustrating, hard, all things.
What would you say? What's your favorite fighting game?
Of all time, probably Tekken 3 on balance.
Tekken 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Why 3?
I think it was the pinnacle of the engine in terms of the combat mechanics. I think the graphics were good enough to hold their own. Not now, but at the time they were a good jump. And the roster was deep. The story was still in that early phase of fighting games where they didn't really have a story, but they kind of did.
A lot of great endings.
Really cool endings. And I think they got the characters right. I think there was enough cool characters in that roster without too many comedy characters, which they've kind of done with Tekken since. There's too many comedy characters in it. But yeah, so Tekken 3, for me, best fighting game of all time.
Yeah. Was Tekken the first game, the first fighting series you took seriously, or was there something before that?
Probably, yeah. I had some exposure to Street Fighter, albeit I can't remember what iteration or version I had when I was a kid, like properly small, but Tekken was the one I remember playing and completing and wanting to play all the characters and you know and obviously
was Tekken 3 the one that had the bowling?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's either 2 or 3, right? It's one of those two.
It might have been 3 because they might have started adding modes into it, perhaps. I know Tekken 2 was still a reasonably straightforward fighting game, similar to the first one. I know Tekken 3 added a few extra bits and bobs, and by Tekken 4 you had the Tekken mode, which is just like a third-person fighting game attempt, which wasn't great. But yeah, Tekken 3, I'd struggle to defend it if someone wanted to go up against it with something like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, but
I think Tekken 3 is a great game. And those Tekken games on the PlayStation, the first PlayStation, they were better ports or they were better than the arcade games. They added a lot of stuff to them, and that was kind of that generation right there where we were starting to get games at home that were actually better than the arcade versions, and not just kind of stripped down ports. And that was really the beginning of the end for arcades right there. Was when a lot of people was like, wait, I can just buy this for $40 or $50. What am I doing?
But I certainly see the allure of Street Fighter. Again, because I'm used to a different type of combat, going back to how it was played originally with the controller, 4 buttons, with the 2 on top, only a certain amount of directions, and the combinations, you have to be precise. You can't rely on the motion to kind of interpret what you're doing. It's hard, but there's a certain satisfaction when you do manage to pull out a win from nowhere. It's Who's your guy? Have you been just going through all of them, or do you have a preference? Well, my favorite character in the series was always Guile. I always loved Guile. I don't know why. I think he was just... I wanted his haircut when I was a kid. Couldn't have it. But in terms of, like...
I don't think anybody can.
Well, like, I got the tattoos, though.
There you go.
I didn't really get the tattoos. I wish... Joe, I'm going to get the tattoos, though. In terms of good character, I probably choose the most... it's probably Sagat.
Okay.
Just because his combinations are reasonably easy to pull off. He's super strong as well. Like his power attacks do a ridiculous amount of damage. His highs and lows are good, and I just find he's the best compromise in terms of striking. Zangief is a beast in terms of grappling. Sure. Like you get a couple of grappling maneuvers on with Zangief, you can perfect quite easily, which I think is a bit cheap, but you keep him at distance with distance attacks, I suppose. So yeah, on balance, probably Sagat, though.
Did you see the Street Fighter movie?
Funnily enough, it was on TV a week ago, so I watched it with a buddy of mine, because we kind of caught it 5 minutes in, and I was like, do you know what? I think we're going to sit through this. I want to watch this film again because it's been 15 years since I've seen it, and I want to watch it through the prism of someone that now critiques things, and I want to see if it's as bad as I think it is. And yeah,
it is.
It's awful.
Did you see the Mortal Kombat movie?
I remember that one very well, actually. I've seen that a few times since, and Annihilation.
Oh. Ugh.
Annihilation at least has the excuse of being of no one caring. The first one, I think a few people cared about that film, so it had no real excuse to fail, but failed anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people still love that first one.
I like it. It's not a great film. Chris Lambert as a choice as Raiden is still weird. Cool voice, not the best look though. They've just glued Santa's beard to his head. Like, no offense, but like, you can tell that's not your real hair color, bruh. Like, Chris Lambert might have the coolest voice in all of cinematic history. He might have the coolest voice ever. But that look, I don't think so. And he's got a goddamn a unicorn's tail stapled to his head. It just ruins the gimmick. Like, he can have lightning shooting out of his eyes. Cool. But what's that thing on your head, man? So, yeah. But I it's a guilty pleasure. I like watching that film. I don't know about you. Do you like watching the Mortal Kombat film if it's on?
No. There's stuff in it, like, there's stuff that's goofy and fun, and I get why people like it. I guess I was always just a little miffed that it wasn't, like, the lore wasn't taken more seriously, and that it was just a goofy kung fu film with bad CGI and even worse performances.
Let me ask you one last question on the Mortal Kombat thing. What's your favorite goofy fatality from that film?
From the film?
Like, as in the one I don't remember. The one you watched and you went, wow, that's dumb, but also awesome.
Like, I wish... The problem is I don't think the movie had good fatalities. I think that's the problem, is that it needed to be R. They needed you know what they needed? They needed a big arcade cabinet to fall on somebody.
100%, yes. That's a good point, yeah. Well, let me put it to you this way. I watched it when I was maybe 6 or 7, and I don't remember being all that traumatized by it. So it clearly wasn't that violent.
No.
I just remember it being a bit cartoony. If I'm remembering anything from the Mortal Kombat film, I remember it kind of feeling a bit cartoony, which is weird.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, it's supposed to be super violent. For me, by the way, Sub-Zero being defeated by a bucket of water. Okay. Fine. You want one of the most legendary fighting game characters of all time, defeated by a bucket of lukewarm water that probably wasn't even clean.
Yeah. Well, so how do you feel? Like, you just back to the quiz. How do you feel? Like, how do you feel the reception was? Like, do you think that lines up with how you expected, or what did you expect the reception to be?
I don't know what I expected the reception to be. I think it's definitely inspired me to want to learn more about it. Hence the enthusiasm for getting my hands on a SNES and being able to play some of the original propagators of some of the games we played. But I don't know. I think the reception's been good, if nothing else, because it's lovely, and I mean this genuinely. It's lovely seeing everyone kind of come in with, I did really great at this. I got this right, and I knew about this, and the reason I knew about this, and they're sharing their personal insights into the game,
sure.
and their, you know, their attachments to these series, and that's so cool because that's what gaming is supposed to be about. It's sharing stories about things you did in these games and how you came across them and what impact it had on you, rather than, oh, I got this kill death ratio and I've got this many achievements. It's, yeah, but I remember my favorite Sonic character was this character, and that's because the first game I played was this, and I was 7 years old at the time. That's lovely. It's really cool.
So what you're saying is that we shamed you into playing more old games.
Listen, shame is a powerful motivator, my friend. And in this case, it certainly motivated me to want to not suck at some of these games. But more importantly, it made me want to learn about these games and actually have some context as to why they mean so much to people. Even if they don't end up meaning a lot to me, it would be nice to know why the feel, the kinetic nature of a game, it means so much more to me to know about that. So if nothing else, I'm grateful to the people who watched for sharing those, because it's made me want to see why they've got that level of investment.
So I've pulled up a few comments that we received from those episodes, and I was kind of curious to get your thoughts on them. And see, maybe we can answer some questions here, and we can kind of cover some ground about. These are just a few of the comments that and there are a few different things I actually want to talk about with these. So let's start with the Neo Geo subtitles or cheesy action film. That's one of my favorite episodes. That's the one where, because we recorded these out of order, and I just remember listening to that back and thinking, oh, this is the point where I knew that this whole thing was a big mistake. And so
it's a problem with the car wreck, my friend. Once you know it's a car wreck, it's already too late. So it's fine.
So Cyberpunk Nut, he said, also get Lorne a copy of the SNK collection and the SNK arcade classics. Would you be open to getting either of the SNK, either the SNK collection or the SNK arcade classics? There are a couple of compilations that have their classic games on them. Would you be open to
if I may make a pun for a second to try and get back to the halcyon days of gaming, then of course I would be. Yeah, 100%. I said that really high, but I meant it. Cyberpunk Nut should send me that. He should send you that, and then we should rock that. That's what we should do.
Get it to you somehow.
100%. Yes. I would be totally up.
Well, and that actually brings up, there are a lot of people that commented suggesting that that you probably do know SNK games, that I just said the wrong ones.
Oh, right, okay.
that like Samurai Showdown or stuff like that may have been a little too in the weeds. Okay. And maybe there were some that you might have, like Philia Love Squiggly mentioned Okay, let's see here where it says. Oh, maybe you should have thrown Metal Slug at him. I think everybody has at least heard of that one. Well, let's find out. If I had mentioned Metal Slug, would you have gone, oh, of course I know SNK?
Not at all. No, unfortunately not.
Not at all. You've not heard of any of the Metal Slug games?
No.
Oh. We're right back where we were with that episode.
Well, again, I want to brush up and I want to catch up. So
absolutely.
I look at it through this way. It's nice to know there's a whole new world out there for me that I didn't even know existed before. I daredn't close my eyes.
You had never heard of the Neo Geo or the Neo Geo Pocket Color or any of that, any of those systems?
Not as far as my recollection is concerned, no. I'm afraid not.
Yeah, I think the reason a lot of people suggested Metal Slug is because there have been, 12 of them. And they, as recently as just a few years ago. Actually, it's probably been a little longer than that. But they've come out fairly recently. And it's one of those that they keep porting to stuff. I think Metal Slug 3 is on all the new consoles, for example.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Contra? Do you like Contra?
I've heard the name. I don't remember playing the game.
Oh, no. All right. Well, that teases up a little bit. That teases up well to Will's comment here. He says, Lauren covers video games. Okay, let's stop it right there.
That's nice. Good.
You've probably noticed that a few people have called you Lauren. Do you that because I am not maybe I'm not saying it, I'm not enunciating it properly.
I have a rule, which is you can call me anything you like. It's fine at this point. As long as it's in the general ballpark, it's cool. If Lauren makes sense to him, Lauren's what I'm called. It's cool.
Just not a lot of people named Lorne. I don't think a lot of people are familiar with that name.
I'm pretty sure that's also the reason why not a lot of people are called Adolf. It's just not a good idea.
Well,
just not a good idea. Lorne, not a good idea.
I think we just lost a lot of viewers. Anyway, Lauren covers video games and does not know SNK. Tisk. What do you say to that?
I would say I'm sorry.
All right.
And that I will work harder in the future to know about SNK game.
Dr. Ums, he or she, the good doctor, says that they love this episode. Lorne and Cyril are so entertaining. That's not really a question, but I liked it. And we saw a lot of that.
See, I read that as being somewhat sarcastic.
No. Doctors aren't sarcastic. That's a bad trait for a doctor.
Yeah, you're totally going to live. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's a fair point.
All right, let's move over to 2D action hero or hip hop artist. Here's something I like. I like when a lot of people have given us suggestions on some topics we can do.
Okay.
NP, which I'm just going to assume is Nintendo Power. NP said these are pretty fun. Do one on JRPGs. So, well, let me ask you, Lorne, do you know what a JRPG is?
Sort of. Yeah, I know Chrono Trigger. Is that a JRPG?
That is, sure.
Yay! Look at me.
Okay.
Don't ask me to name a second.
Well, you know what those letters spell out, though, right? Or what it's an acronym for?
Just RPGs?
Oh boy. No, it's Japanese role-playing games.
Japanese role-playing game. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're good.
Like, have you ever played any of the Final Fantasy games?
I have not, which, coming back to the SNES, the first one I will ever play is Final Fantasy VI.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
3?
Right, well, it's
3.
The American one was 3, but it's a port of 6.
There you go. Final Fantasy 3 then.
All right. So, would you be open if we did a quiz about Japanese role-playing games? Would you be open to that?
Can you give me 60 hours or so to play Final Fantasy?
We'll come back to that one.
There we go.
Fiery Rain. What cave did you find this guy in?
South of the border. It's just below the Kuiper Belt. I don't know. I play other games. Like, FIFA gets released every year, and that takes up some of my time. And
we've talked about this before. You're going to do an episode where you quiz me on one of these, right?
100%. Yes, right. And then we're gonna see. Then we're really gonna see who knows their video games.
So I'm
whatever.
I'm curious to see what you come up with, and people should look forward to that in the future.
I think we both know what I'm gonna pick, just because I have expertise on it and you don't. I think we both know.
It's gonna be soccer related, isn't it?
It might be.
Oh no. Let's see here. Geography King. The series of guessing videos is the best video game series on YouTube right now, for sure. Do you agree with that? You got to agree with that.
Well, he's a king of geography, so he knows exactly where things are. So if he tells you that it's the best right now, you take him at his word. He's the expert in this situation.
Oh, here's a good one. This is from Sonic Friend or Famous Mobster. Man, that was a good episode. This isn't a question. This is from Bone ZG. If your biggest fan hates you, I wouldn't like to know what your haters are like. And do you know what he's talking about there?
I don't.
You didn't see
I don't know if that's. There you go.
In the episode, let's go through that real quick. I'm going to bring that up. No, that's the wrong one. This is some stuff I'm going to edit out.
Now you should leave it in. The podiums, by the way, magnificent. Love them.
The what?
Oh, the podiums. I want a podium everywhere I go now. When I'm waiting for a bus, I want a podium there.
All right, during the Sonic Friend or Famous Mobster, we talked about how I get people emailing about you, and this is the email that I wrote.
I don't think I've ever seen this before.
All right, well, it's one of those split-second sight gags in the video itself that you kind of have to pause and then read. So I'm gonna just go ahead and let you read this and just kind of react to it. In fact, no, I'll read it to you.
Okay. Go on then.
So he says, "Hey, Defunct Games, I love the channel, but hate you. I mean, as a person. All you do is whine, and you never review first-person shooters. I want to punch myself in the balls every time you say the word magazine. It's magazine, not magazine, you moron. You're also pretentious and biased against all games that I love. Like Blasto. When you reviewed it, all you did was show the ending. Where are the options in the menus?
The menus.
You do the worst reviews. I mean, your stuttering vocal inflection in tone and symbol emphasis is terrible. Syllable emphasis. You say I can't even read. You see, you can't just say the pros of a product and call it a review. In a perfect world, you would sleepwalk through a busy intersection and let Lorne take over. Now that's a person who knows how to say dragon correctly.
I must have been really drunk that day when I wrote this, because no one can really think this.
You need to bring him on full time and go away forever. Literally no one would care if you were hit by a PT Cruiser.
Your biggest fan. Wow. I don't really know what to say to that. I think it'd be more pertinent to hear what you have to say about that, because that is scathing indictment of what is effect. He's your biggest fan. Why would you spend all of your time hating on something you love? Like, come on, there's.
Like,
and to bring up the dragon thing again,
just how much fun it is to write that kind of visual gag.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
That's like half of that stuff is just pulled out of actual hate comments, just word for word.
That's hilarious.
Oh, wow.
That's very good.
But you'd be up for more of
That's
those.
hilarious.
You'd be up for doing more of those episodes now that we're kind of winding towards the end of this season.
100%. If you can keep knocking them out, I'm more than happy to continue to participate, sir.
That's the problem. It's up to me.
It depends, though. Is there prize money involved in the next run? Do I win a cuddly toy?
There's nothing good comes out of this. It's just ridicule, really. And people mispronouncing your name.
So long as that boat sailed, it's fine.
Well, I have to say, we have some really good, really, really good quizzes coming up. I can't say too much about them, but we have some really good ones, and they're going to be a little different from the this or that style that we've been doing. And we still have a couple we haven't even published yet that we'll see if those go up. But yeah, no, I think I had so much fun re-listening to all of those quizzes, and hopefully you had fun watching them.
I enjoyed them immensely. They're so much fun to play along with because I can't remember a lot of the answers I gave. So it's fun replaying the quiz and hoping that I get a better score this time round. Now that I've got the cheat of having answered the question previously.
Okay, well that's a great direction to take it.
We're not replaying those quizzes.
Have you done better? Do you feel like you've done better with when you replay them?
I think I score less because then I've got false confidence that I'll know the answer.
No. You're not actually learning anything. This has not helped.
Never mind. I try. That's the important thing.
Well, I think everybody has been entertained listening to you, and I've had a lot of fun working in all the intros and all of the outros and all the other stuff that goes into it that you had no part in recording. I just always trying to find different ways, or mostly just the same way, of pretending like you're just being quiet. Because I don't have audio for you for there.
That is interesting how you pull it off, and you do it exquisitely well, sir.
I've thought about...
You deserve all the kudos in the world.
I've considered doing it where I pull audio, just like random clips from some of your videos.
Interesting.
Should we be linking to your channel? Should people go to your channel right now, Lorne?
If they're so inclined, sure.
Lorne.
Maybe not though.
Why are you doing this to me?
Okay, right.
Promote yourself, Lorne.
Okay, if you want me to cut a promo, I'll cut a promo. It's the best I can do, but. If Cyril is the gold standard, if Cyril is the McDonald's of game reviews, I'm that shop down the corner that occasionally sells burgers. You don't know what's in them, but it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Are you really going to go anywhere else? Come to Halcyon. That's the best I can do.
Oh, I don't like being the McDonald's of game reviews.
Like big, successful, well-produced, flawless.
Big, successful. Yes. Hugely successful.
Hugely successful. Medically unsafe successful.
Yes, I agree. And you're posting stuff weekly.
I'm trying to, yep. Again, emulate from your actual biggest fan. I emulate you wherever I can, and you're the most consistent uploader that I know. So yeah, every single week, Sundays, there's a new video that drops every single week. So. And
what is it the same day?
Every Sunday, every week. Yeah.
What have you reviewed recently?
Most recently Mortal Kombat 10, which, is not the most contemporary fighting game, considering the sequel's about to be dropped. But
yeah, Mortal Kombat 11 in a couple of days, or what was it, April something?
Not too long. Well, they've released all of the character trailers and the main trailer for the story mode. Sure. So yeah, it's not long at all. And obviously Ronda Rousey is Sonya Blade, so they're making a big deal about that with WrestleMania around the corner. She's Sonya Blade, yeah.
Like just the voice actress?
Just the voice actor. I don't think she did any mocap for it. What? If she did, then it was very brief.
Didn't they what happened to the old Sonya Blade? Didn't they cast her?
They got a phone call. They got a phone call from someone saying, hey, Ronda Rousey would like to be Sonya Blade. And they made another phone call to the girl that played Sonya Blade and said, yeah, nah. And that was that.
Well, I hope she got work.
Oh, likewise. I don't have any love for Ronda Rousey picking up that role for the fact she's Ronda Rousey, but it's what happened.
That's so weird. I hadn't heard anything about that.
But to come back to the thing I'm supposed to be promoting,
yes.
I do it for the love of the game. If anyone takes time to watch one of my videos, I'll be eternally grateful. I will clean your house free for a week. And all I do is try to, again, it might sound like a cop-out, like a suck-up, and it's legit, it's real. I look at your channel, and I try to emulate it as best I can. You're the pinnacle as far as I'm concerned in terms of what you produce, how fun you make it, how entertaining it is, and how informative it is, and I'm striving for that Everest, and hopefully week by week I get a little closer. That's all I ask.
But I will say, most people should go check it out. He's got some good stuff. No. It's a great channel. Go check it out. I should have been advertising it this entire time. But no.
Now you're being too kind.
No. I will do so going forward, and I look forward to all of the upcoming quizzes, and I hope that when I bring somebody else on for a different quiz series, that you don't feel like I'm cheating on you.
You wouldn't.
Unfortunately, I would, because I have another trivia series planned that is slightly different. So people,
I can't wait to see it.
To look out for that. That's going to be a good one.
I can't wait to see it. It's going to be great.
It's going to be based on a quiz that was printed in an old magazine. I won't tell you which one, so that you can't cheat people in the audience.
Right, okay. Well, no, people in the audience, I'm asking for you, how old is the magazine?
What year is it? It's 2019, so, 28 years. It's old.
And what does the title of the magazine rhyme with?
Lame Pro?
There you go, that's all the information I'm going to eke out for you. You're welcome.
Yeah. Good luck solving that riddle. Hey, thanks for watching Lorne and I discuss the Defunct Games quiz. If you liked what you saw here, then you should tune in next Friday when I'm going to quiz him on wrestling quotes and game magazines. Now, here's the question I have for you. Would you tune in for a live trivia stream? Also, do you have any ideas the best way to set something like that up? I have lots of questions, but nobody to ask. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below. Oh, also, I added a link to Lorne's channel in the details box. Do me a favor and go and give him a sub. He's earned it after putting up with all of these quizzes. In other news, next week is going to be crazy. We're going to be looking at old school April Fool's Day jokes on Monday, and then reviewing games like Generation Zero and Ultra Wing. In the meantime, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Till then.